cruise ship staff of Reddit, cleaners in particular, what are some disturbing secrets passengers should know? I was touring a ship for a future event. The ship was about to leave for a 100+ day cruise. I saw a lot of old people getting on with oxygen tanks. I asked him what happens if they die on board. He said it was very common for old people blow their life savings to come spend their last days on this cruise. He also said they have a fully functional morgue. Getting airlifted off a ship in a medical emergency costs a fortune, and your insurance will likely not cover it. It's the best reason for purchasing travel insurance. I was a musician on cruise ships for a year. As mentioned before, you're not going to get cleaners on here because their work schedule is a disturbing secret. Anyone that works below deck and not always in view of passengers usually works 70 to 80-hour weeks while sharing a cabin the size of a closet with 4 people. Also, crew members from India aren't allowed to get off the ship in the US during their first contract, maybe 2, can't remember, because too many Indian cruise ship workers would get off the ship and never come back. That if you die on board at sea from something other than natural causes, heart attack, old age, your death will probably not be investigated properly. Ships need to get back to port on time to load up the next set of passengers. *SWEEPS details under rug. Just created my very first Reddit account to answer this question. I've been working on ships for almost a decade now, engineering department. When the Eberless Air of 2014 went down, I was crewing a passenger ferry. During a safety meeting, someone asked what would happen if we got a passenger showing symptoms. We were told the ship would be quarantined until the disease had run its course. Imagine just sitting in the bay on an Ebola-ridden ship. I worked on a ship for 2 summers and could answer loads of questions, but the cleaning standards are very high. There's an organization, I can't remember the name of, that visits ships randomly to check cleanliness, and if the ship doesn't meet standards they can't sail. I worked in the kids activity center, and the last day of every cruise we would do a 2-hour special clean with a certain cleaning solution and rags in literally every nook and cranny. Toys get steam cleaned, toys with small holes in them get hand washed, toys with lots of crevices get cleaned with Q-tips, etc. Last inspection my ship passed with like a 94% or something like that. I worked as a musician on cruise ships for a year, ending a few months ago. My main concern was how the cleaning staff are treated. As a musician, we get amazing privileges. The cleaners were doing 7-hour split shifts, so 7 hours on, 5 hours off, 7 hours on, 5 hours off, every day, 7 days a week for up to 9 months straight. All of this for a basic wage of $500. It was appalling. I was on 6 times that amount, doing 3 hours work. On top of this, they are not allowed in guest areas without permission other than the corridor of rooms they clean, meaning they have to wander around the dingy crew areas every day without barely seeing sunlight. Modern day slavery. Drinks at the crew bar are insanely cheaper than at passenger bars. If I remember correctly, Carnival gave us 30% discounts at passenger bars, and it was still 5x more expensive than drinking below deck. I worked casinos on 23 ships from '89 to 2000. Over 400 cruises. I could write a book on what goes on. I remember a photog, cruise ship photographer, told me he was asked to go down and take photos somewhere on the lowest deck, and he said there was a foot of water down there. We continued to sail for months after that. Nothing was ever mentioned about it again. Many times I have stepped into an elevator and there were small fires in the freestanding ashtrays. Obviously you know there is plenty of alcohol/drugs flowing, and some people can't take it. We once had a guy hang himself off the front of the ship. Very sad. I was working, if I can use this word, to apply to casino staff on a ship sailing across the Baltic from Karlskrona, Sweden, to Gdansk, Poland, with mostly Swedes as passengers. As staff on this particular ship we never did a boat drill or were issued life vests. Unbelievable, I know. The Baltic is notorious for rough seas, and on one of those nights, I'm talking really bad weather, after work our neighbor, totally freaking out, knocks the door and says, "Come look at this." We had the only 2 occupied cabins on this row. 3 cabins down the porthole had blown in, and water was pouring into the cabin. The ship is flying every which way and my cabin mate starts putting on all his clothes like Joe and friends saying, "If we are going down I'm not leaving anything." He was a bit of an idiot tbh. I had been in worse storms, Hurricane Andrew to name one, and I'm a pretty calm person, so I said we should go to the bridge and check out what's going on. There was one guy up there, and he said this is normal. It's an old ship. Don't worry. I just went to one of the bars. In the morning the ship docked, and it was trashed inside. Windows broken with stuff all over the floors. No alarm was ever sounded. We sailed that evening as usual. I work in corporate for a cruise ship company. A majority of the labor workforce on these cruise ships are recruited from the Philippines, Indonesia, and India. All things being equal, a white crew member will always be paid more than a nation, even if they have the same job title and are doing the same work. It's pretty fucked up. Not sure if it's true or not, but a casino staff member told us that the poker machine payouts are set higher in the first 2 days to make you win, and thus make you want to play more. Then as the ship enters international waters they don't need to have the same regulated payout percentages, and it gets lowered to like 50%. So you have a very slim chance at winning anything after the first few days. A lot of people die. Depending on the line, it's not unusual for a couple a week. Depending on the age of the ship, there are decent odds someone died in that room. Also, if you receive an upgrade mid-cruise, there's a reason why a room is suddenly available. Bonus from a recent voyage. Not a secret, but weird story from recently. We had a couple leave out 7 dildos on the counter with a note asking their steward would like to join the fun. The note had a yes, no, maybe checkbox, like in 3rd grade. Are the stewards trained to read minds? Or are they just amazing at their jobs? Do they have monitors watching the doors to see when you leave so they can clean? I was taken along on a ladies cruise by a cruise crazy family member, husband's aunt, and I'd never been on a cruise before. We stayed in the concierge level because the one who was paying was posh. My room steward was a Filipino man and he absolutely made my stay amazing. I asked about an extra pillow one day to use as a body pillow, and he took pillows and sheets and made me this big Tootsie Roll thing for a body pillow. Every day it was rolled with a clean sheet. I loved the toiletries and used up an entire bottle of lotion every day on my sunburned body, so each day I began finding 3 bottles of lotion with the clean towels. I ordered an iced tea with 2 lemons in my room after dinner 2 nights in a row, and for the remaining nights of the trip, when I came back to my cabin after dinner there was a cold iced tea, 2 lemons each time. I swear the second I left the room for meals it got cleaned, or turned down or fancied up. I was a poor slob who spent a week feeling like a queen because of that guy. I asked my posh host about tipping etiquette at the end and she gave me an envelope for him. It had $400 in it. I added another $100 from my spending money. He made the trip for me. Thank you, Filipino steward Jude on my celebrity cruise in April 2013. You rock. I'm a student working side job on a cruise ships every week. When a ship makes a turnover at the port, we would come and help the crews doing luggage/housekeeping jobs. Since we are only external helpers, I don't know much about what happens during the trip. But during the turnover the schedule is pretty tight. Basically you have to clean rooms/deliver luggage to 3,000 plus passengers in around 6 to 7 hours. Everyone is rushed, and the rooms might not be cleaned well. Sometimes they don't even change the bed/pillow covers, so if you are unlucky, you might get some that have been used for weeks by 10 plus people. Also they don't care about the luggage. It gets thrown pretty violently. At the end of every shift there are usually 3 to 4 broken wheels lying around. Small tips: check in early, buy luggage with 4 wheels. If we can push you luggage easily, we will be more careful with it, and the later the shift gets, people will be more and more violent with the luggage, since we are too tired to do it properly. Most of the crew doing the hard work are Asian. They have to work 12 to 13 hours a day and only get paid $5-6 per hour. I was a technician in the theater. The most disturbing thing for me is the incredibly low wages they pay some crew members, like cleaners. Some people like the bartenders make almost nothing as a base salary and depend solely on your tips. Please don't opt out of the automatic gratuity. When a cruise ship needs to go in for repairs they have a set schedule they have to meet, and a ton of money to throw at it. Although, they pay exorbitant amounts of money for the repairs due to the schedule. Every contractor has to do a rush job, so a great many of the repairs are done shoddily, and the ship has no choice but to just leave any unfinished non-critical work undone and sail away.